Welcome to my classroom. In this Master Answer 1 course, we will start module number 3. In module number 1, we have discussed about molecular diffusion. In module 2, we have discussed about interface mass transfer, where we have discussed about theories of mass transfer, analogies of mass transfer, momentum and heat transfers. And we have defined what is mass transfer coefficient, what is overall mass transfer coefficients, and what is the relationship between overall mass transfer coefficient and individual mass transfer coefficients, and we have solved ample number of numericals, right? In this module 3, we are going to focus about gas liquid systems, because in industries, chemical industries, we often come across a multi-phase systems, particularly contact between gas and liquids. So when we are focusing on the separation of the product stream from the feed, from the gas reactant mixtures, so obviously we have to perform operations like absorption, distillation, adsorption, solvent extraction, leaching, etc. Right? In all these cases, we come across a gas phase. If a system involving a gaseous reactant or product, we obviously have to separate them out, right? So how to separate them out? We follow some unit operations, particularly mass transfer operations. So wherein we come across gas liquid contacts. Okay, so for that, what is how mostly the principle will be like one of the components of a gaseous mixture, for example A and B. A is the solute, B is solvent. We have A is one of the component in a gaseous mixture of A, B, C and etc. If it is binary mixture, simply a mixture of A and B, A is soluble in one of the liquids, right? So that way we should focus on the what is the maximum solubility of a particular solute A in a liquid, right? So that needs to be understood. So for that we should know what is gas solubility and what is the saturation level, right? And accordingly whether we can make use of Raoult's law or not, or we have to define Henry's law for a dilute solutions. So we will discuss about Henry's law, solubility of a gas in liquid. Okay, so then we will move towards various gas liquid unit operations and what are the fundamental principles involved in it, or you can say what are the various components that are present in a different gas liquid contactors. Contactors refers to a gas liquid contacting equipment. So we have various type of gas liquid contactor equipments like packed towers, plate towers. Okay, so majorly we will discuss about that plate towers and packed towers, and what are the various types within it, and what are the various components involved in it, and we will define what is the effectiveness of it by defining the what is the stage efficiency, what is multi-stage efficiency, or overall stage efficiency, or what is murphree plate efficiency. All this we will discuss in this lecture. Okay, particularly we will focus on components of packed towers and plate towers in this lecture, because that is one of the major gas liquid contacting equipment which is widely used in the industries. And in this model we will also discuss about important unit mass transfer operation, that is absorption. So what is absorption, how absorption operation is performed, okay, how to determine the number of stages required for it. Okay, towards the end of this model we will solve numericals for absorption operations also. Fine. So that will be the agenda for next few lectures. If you look at the contents of this model 3, as I just explained, we will discuss about the components of equipments for packed tower, bubble column, trick towers, etc. We will perform the material balance for packed towers, and we will discuss about the equilibrium curve, Henry's law, and how to draw operating line for any operation like absorption, the concept of height of transfer units and number of transfer units, and stage efficiency, all will be discussed. And we have model number 4, in which we will discuss about humidification operations, where already psychometric chart, adiabatic operations have been discussed in detail. So only we have to discuss about cooling towers and design of cooling towers. Okay. So if you look at the learning objectives of model number 3, the learners will be able to explain what is equilibrium solubility of a gas in liquid, how to draw equilibrium curve. Okay, what is Henry's law? If Henry's law, what is Henry's law constant? What is its unit when we express Henry's law constant in different fashions? Okay, from Henry's law, how to plot equilibrium curve, all that will be able to explain. Okay, and the learner will be able to explain what is a gas liquid contactor and what is a packed tower, what are the desired characteristics of a packing material in a packed column, and the learners will be able to explain what is plate column, under which they will able to explain bubble cap columns, sieve tray columns, and valve tray columns. And one should able to differentiate between packed columns and plate column with respect to various parameters. Okay, and one should able to explain what are the problems associated with packed columns as well as plate columns, like what is channeling, flooding, and loading points in a packed tower. Okay, once we move to absorption, for absorption we make use of a solvent, liquid solvent. So what should be the desired characteristics of a solvent for a given absorption duty, one should able to explain. Okay, also the learner will be able to explain, differentiate between what is leaching and what is liquid extraction. This is just for understanding purpose. And as understanding thing, one should able to list 10 unit operation involved in a refinery industry, and you should able to define what is absorption factor and able to derive KBS equation. Okay, all that we will discuss in detail. If you look at Henry's law for gas absorption, we have already seen Raoult's law, which is applicable for ideal gas behaviors, right? When the gas mixture is in equilibrium with an ideal liquid solution, which will follow the ideal gas behavior, we have already seen Raoult's law. Okay, whereas when the solution is non-ideal, Raoult's law cannot be applied. So for such case, what we have to do? We have to use Henry's law. Okay, Henry's law relates the equilibrium mole fraction in gas phase to the mole fraction in the liquid. Okay, so for example, you have P star equal to H into X, where H is the Henry's law constant, X is the solute concentration in the liquid, or it can be expressed as Y star equal to P star by Pt, which is equal to M into X. Okay, because Y star is P star by Pt, total mole fraction, right? So that way Y star is equal to M by X, where M is again Henry's law constant. Remember, when you use H, it has a unit, because H equal to P star by X. So that will have the unit of whatever is the unit of the partial pressure, and divided by mole fraction. Whereas when you express in terms of Y equal to Mx, M equal to Y star by X, therefore it won't have a unit. Okay, so usually that star will be difficult to type, so mostly in the textbooks the star will be skipped, but the relationship for Henry's law is P equal to Hx, or even the subscript is skipped if it a binary system. Okay, y is equal to Mx. Okay, so these are Henry's law expressions. Okay, so actually what does it mean? Y equal to Mx is a linear relationship. So that way this Henry's law is predicting a linear relationship between the equilibrium relationship. Actually, but in fact what will happen is equilibrium relationships are not linear. That is y star versus x relationship is not linear. Henry's law is applicable only over a modest concentration ranges, particularly when the solution is dilute. Okay, for very dilute solution we make use of Henry's law. Okay, and there are various variations of Henry's law is available. Accordingly, the Henry's law constant will have different unit. As I have mentioned earlier, this capital H has the unit of pressure by mole fraction, because P star equal to H into X. Therefore, H equal to P star by X. Whereas while M is dimensionless, because M equal to Y star by X. Both are mole fraction by mole fraction. That's why it does not have any unit. So M is independent of the total pressure. That's why we want to make use of Y is Mx relationship, because that is applicable for various pressure ranges in which we operate the things. Okay, so if you look at the solubility, gas solubility, it may be varying, because it depends upon the nature of the particular liquid also, gas liquid combination. Okay, for example, if you consider if your solubility of the gas mixtures in water. Okay, so if you consider a partial pressure of a solute in the gas, if you see what is its mole fraction of solute in the water. Okay, so if you look at HCl, if you take ammonia, if you take SO2, okay, how it is soluble. So you can see that it is some are close to x-axis, some are close to y-axis. So in this, one is readily soluble, there is no resistance to get dissolved into it. Another one is not readily soluble, or we can say sparingly soluble. That's why its mole fraction will be very less in the liquid. Okay, so how we can see, for example, if you look at HCl, you can see HCl is more soluble than ammonia, which in turn is more soluble than the SO2. So we can see here HCl is more soluble, that's why it is close to x-axis. As I said, if it is close to x-axis, it is highly soluble. If it is close to y-axis, it is sparingly soluble. Okay, so that way we have HCl is more soluble at same temperature. For example, HCl at 10 degrees Celsius, ammonia at 10 degrees Celsius, sulfur dioxide at 10 degrees Celsius. If you compare these three in the same water, you can see that HCl will be absorbed more, whereas ammonia will be less and SO2 will be very less. So that way the solubility of HCl in water is higher, which is higher than the ammonia, and the solubility of ammonia in water is higher than the solubility of SO2 in water. And if you compare, if you increase the temperature also, the effect of temperature also can be seen from this diagram. You can see that the solubility has changed with change in temperature. What has happened with the increase in temperature from the highly soluble x-axis to sparingly soluble y-axis? It has moved towards y-axis. That means the solubility has decreased. So that is the effect of temperature on solubility. When we are increasing the temperature, the solubility decreases. Okay, that's what we discuss here. Okay, the solubility of gas decreases with increasing the temperature. We can see that ammonia is less soluble at 30 degrees Celsius than at 10 degrees Celsius. Similarly, different gases have different solubilities. So that's what we have seen. HCl is more soluble than SO2 at the same temperature. Right? So the relatively insoluble gas is high in concentration in the gas phase, that is high partial pressure at the equilibrium. Conversely, very soluble gas, that is highly soluble gas, has low partial pressure. So that we should know. In the relationship of Y star equal to mx, the relationship of Y star equal to mx, okay, so what will be the value if it is it is equilibrium relationship, right? So it is the equilibrium relationship. Okay, so that is there is two type of equilibrium relationship is possible. Okay, so that way if it is highly soluble at equilibrium, the corresponding y-axis value is going to be less. Okay, so whereas for a sparingly soluble one, the y star value will be high, right? So that is the thing we observe here, that we should know. Okay, so the relatively insoluble gas is high in concentration in the gas phase, that is high partial pressure at equilibrium. And in many practical cases, whenever we consider a binary mixture of A and B of gases, okay, only one will be soluble. That is how it is possible, right? We have to choose the solvent. We have to choose the solvent C such that it will take care of only A. If both are dissolving, the purpose is not solved, right? Purpose of the operation is to separate out A and B. So for that, we have to choose a third component C, which will selectively choose this A. That is, A should be selectively soluble in C. B should not be soluble in C. So that is how we have to choose the things also. Okay. So we have different type of equilibrium curve available for different mixtures. Okay. So that means it's not about the mixture, it's about the solute and the solvent, that is between the gas solute and the liquid solvent we are concerned. That's why we are discussing about gas liquid systems. Okay. So what is the solubility we are talking about? If you take a certain quantity of gaseous mixture and a non-volatile liquid are brought into contact, because if you solvent, if the liquid is volatile, what will happen? There will be lot of loss. That's why we prefer a non-volatile liquid. So we have a non-volatile liquid and you have a mixture of A and B which is brought in contact with this liquid C. Okay, what is happening? Some of the components of the gas may dissolve in the liquid. That is, A may be selectively dissolving in this one. So slowly what will happen? A will be getting into this liquid. So the more it depends upon the contact time also, right? So that we will discuss in detail. So right now here in this equilibrium solubility of gas in mixture, so what would be the resulting concentration of the dissolved gas in the liquid? So that will, when it will stop, we will have an equilibrium condition, right? So as I used to tell, when we are hungry, so several number of chapatis or rotis or idli dosa is brought, your capacity is there, so that is solubility, how much it can take, right? So that way it will reach its equilibrium. Say for example, my capacity is to take 10 dosas. After up to 8 I may be eating faster, so 9 and 10 I will struggle to finish. So close to equilibrium it is difficult, beyond it I will not take, right? Similar to that. So up to its equilibrium, that is its solubility, up to its solubility level, these gas molecules will keep dissolving into the liquid, even if you provide sufficient time. So after which, even if you provide infinite time, there will not be much change in the concentration of the solute A in the liquid phase. Okay, so for a given temperature and pressure, a solubility is defined. Okay, so that is the maximum amount of solute A that can be taken by this liquid, right? So if you consider a mixture of ammonia, air gas mixture and a liquid water, so a fixed amount of water concentration is fixed. Okay, when you brought in this in contact with this gaseous ammonia and air in a closed container, as shown in this figure, what will happen? Ammonia is very soluble in water in comparison to air. So some ammonia molecules will be immediately travel from the gas phase into the liquid phase, and they will be crossing the interface, separating the two phases. As the molecules of dissolved ammonia increases, some of them will again escape back to the gas phase, right? So as more ammonia enters the liquid, the rate of ammonia returning into the gas also will increase. So until eventually there will be an equilibrium state, right? So at which it enters the liquid exactly will be equal to the amount of ammonia which is leaving the liquid to gas. So that is where we have an equilibrium condition existing between gas and liquid. I hope in thermodynamics courses you come across such situations always. Okay, so although the molecules of ammonia still travel back, there is a fourth coming and traveling back, right? So even though when I say equilibrium, it is not that there is no flux, but net flux is zero. Okay, so at equilibrium, so the amount of ammonia entering the liquid, the amount of ammonia leaving the liquid will be same. That's the thing. But there will be always movement of solute A into the liquid and solute A from the liquid to gas phase. Okay. That's why we say the net transfer is zero at equilibrium. Okay. So what will happen if your additional ammonia is injected into the container? The existing equilibrium is disturbed. So if already you had a certain amount of A and B mixture, and then you had the liquid L, C, right? So what will happen if you freshly inject some more amount of solute concentration? So obviously it will try to establish a new equilibrium. Okay, so with the higher concentration of ammonia in both gas phase and liquid phase. Initially the difference in concentration may be there, but at equilibrium we will have a new certain amount, a fixed amount of these things. So that equilibrium is Y star is the concentration of A in gas phase, X is the concentration of A in the liquid phase, and we say this Y star is in equilibrium with X, and it is related as Y star equal to Hx, where H is the Henry's law constant. Okay. So and the curve, the plot of y star versus x is called as solubility curve. So as I said, this y star equal to hx or p star equal to y star equal to mx or p star equal to hx can be plotted. That curve is called as solubility curve or equilibrium distribution curve. Okay, so such curve is called as equilibrium distribution curve. Okay, so now we will discuss about what are the various equipments in fact, various components of equipments in gas liquid operators. Okay, so that will be the agenda for this model number 3, and in model number 4 we will discuss about cooling towers. Okay, so the learning objectives we have already discussed. So if you look at the gas liquid contactors, what is the objective of this? It is a unit operation, right? So gas liquid contactor is a unit operation, particularly mass transfer operation. What is the purpose? It is going to facilitate something. What it will facilitate? It will facilitate the interaction between gas and liquid. That's why these contactors are called gas liquid contactors, which will facilitate the interaction between the gas and liquid. Okay, so because whenever there is a two phase coming into contact, we are having an interface, right? So at the across the interface there will be mass transfer has to take place. Okay. So any equipment which has to provide high interface provided by this gas and liquid should be very high. So how it will provide? It is like liquid is there. For example, I have a packing material solid over which I will have a thin film of liquid. Okay, so then gas will come in contact with this liquid, and it will facilitate the mass transfer between gas and liquid. Either the transfer can take place from gas to liquid or liquid to gas. Okay, whatever may be the direction of mass transfer, the purpose of this contactor is to provide a high surface area, so that the interface area is more. Okay, and particularly a particular contact time between these two phases is needed to allow the passage of one or more component A to diffuse through this interface and get into the other fluid, other stream, or you can say other phase. So that the solute A from the gas can go into this liquid, which is which is an example for absorption. You can say absorption as the example for this. Okay, what happens from the gas? One of the solute will go into the liquid. Then what is this? If what is mass transfer is from liquid to gas? Example is desorption. What is happening in desorption? You have a solid and you pass a gas. So from the liquid, one of the solute will go to the gas stream. That is called desorption. Okay, and same with humidification and dehumidification. So in case of humidification, what is happening? Water vapor is added to the air. So that means it is mass transfer is taking place from liquid to gas. In dehumidification, from the gas phase, we remove the water vapor, condense out the water vapor. So that way it is again the mass transfer from gas to liquid. Okay. So obviously what is needed here? Two things are needed. One is we should allow sufficient time for mass transfer to take place, that is contact time, and they should come in contact with each other. Okay, in any system, in a big room, you allow some people, so they will be in a bus, there are 100 seats are there, the option for two people to come in contact with each other is going to be less. But whether there are only two seats are there, obviously the person coming in contact with each other will be ensured, right? So that way that proper mixing is another important parameter, key parameter, which is to be done in a good equipment for a desired separation. For a desired separation, we should have a proper mixing and contact time that will make us our design a good one. Okay, so these are the two key parameters which we have to consider when we are designing any gas liquid contactors. Okay. Well, to explain this, why this proper mixing and contact time is important, I will give you an analogy. Say for example, if a gas phase is there, a liquid phase is there, and a mass transfer, that is the transfer of solute A from gas to liquid or liquid to gas has to take place, right? So for that, if we consider a gas mixture containing, let me say, if it is binary A and B, where A is solute, and we say a liquid phase, let me say C. Okay, so what will happen? What is the role of a gas liquid contactor? So we have two people, we want to provide them a contact. So the objective of a good contactor is, what is that? It should facilitate gas phase as well as liquid phase to come in contact with each other. So let me say, if it is a park bench, so that one has to come and sit here, and this liquid has to come and sit here. So what will happen? So here, if you provide sufficient contact time and proper mixing is there, in that will happen, what will happen? These two will, there will be exchange of something between the two. Okay, so that is the concentration gets changed in the gas phase and in the liquid phase. So thereby we have, we are having the leaving the park bench. So if you consider a park bench, so the role of a gas liquid contactor, what is the role of this park bench? It has to facilitate the gas phase and liquid phase. Let me say a boy and girl, or a man and woman, to come and sit, interact with each other, and then exchange their thoughts, and then they should able to leave there. Okay, if it is not leaving them, there is no point, right? So they should able to leave this one. Okay, so that is the analogy I wanted to explain. So that is what a good contactor should provide: a proper mixing and then sufficient contact time. Okay, so that's the need for an gas liquid operator. So these gas liquid operators, we can have packed tower, we can have plate towers, we have venturi scrubber, we have wetted wall column. Okay, we have sprayers, spray units. Okay, so in all these places we can allow the gas and liquid to interact with each other, and depending upon the velocity or gas flow rate and liquid flow rate, the contact time can be adjusted. And to provide better surface area, we may have to do some of the adjustments in the design, so that we provide more interfacial surface area, so that we have mass transfer is effectively taking place. Okay, so if you look at different type of column constructions, we have tray columns, we have tray column, we have packed column, we have spray towers, we have bubble columns, we have centrifugal contactors, even agitated vessels. Okay, so in that also, the way in, if it is a batch operation, that is different. If it is continuous operation, the how the mode in which the gas phase and liquid phase are brought in contact with each other, we can call them as counter current, co-current, or cross current operations. Okay, I hope in heat transfer also you have two film heat exchangers. You will have hot fluid flowing in one direction and liquid fluid flowing in another direction. Okay, say for example, you have a counter current, you have two tubes, we have hot fluid temperature T1 to T2 flowing, and in through this tube we have cold fluid reaching with temperature T3 and leaving at temperature T4, right? So based on that, we can say both are traveling in same direction, co-current. One is in opposite direction, then we call it as counter current operation. So any unit operation, we can classify them as counter current operation, co-current operation, or sometimes cross current operation. We will discuss that when we discuss the tray towers. One of the column we will have cross current also. That means off vertical and horizontal, both will be there. Okay, and depending upon the choice of the continuous phase, which can be either in gas or liquid, they can be continuous or stage wise. So it can be done continuously. There is change in, say for example, when it is moving throughout, we have change in concentration, so that is continuous phase. Or if it is stage, we will have here, there is one change of concentration, there is no change here, again change, again at another plate it is, there is a change. Okay, so that way it can be stage wise operation or it can be continuous phase. For example, if it is a packed tower, it is the, for example, liquid is trickling down across the packed bed. What will happen? The concentration will continuously change. Okay. Or if it is considering a plate towers like bubble column or valve column or sieve trays. Okay, in that we will have tray. At each tray there will be mass transfer taking place. In between there won't be mass transfer. Okay, only there will be moving from one place to another place. Okay, so all these cases, what is the objective of the equipment? As I explained, adequate mixing is required and sufficient contact time should be provided. So if you look at the different type of equipments for this, when you say gas and liquid, we can, one of them is can be dispersed. Okay, for example, you have a liquid taken in a system. As I said, in agitated vessels, what will happen? Oxygen or air, it will be introduced into the liquid in the form of bubbles. So that way, when gas is dispersed in the liquid in the form of bubbles, so that is one system, that is gas dispersed system. For example, in agitated vessels, in plate towers, in plate tower also you will have a liquid taken in it, and through the holes or bubble columns, gas will be introduced in the form of bubbles. Okay, so that is gas dispersed. Okay, gas dispersed systems. Or in other case, we can have liquid dispersed system, where we will have in packed towers and or in venturi scrubber, we can have a sprayer in packed tower or anywhere. What we will do, we will spray the liquid, and liquid will be trickling down across these packing materials. Okay, so that way you have liquid is being dispersed. Or if you say venturi scrubber kind of thing, what will happen is we will be spraying the liquid here. So liquid is being introduced in the form of droplets. Okay, so that is liquid dispersed systems. Okay, so that is droplet. When you spray, in what is happening in our bathroom showers, okay, we are introducing the liquid droplets, right? So that can be done. We have gas going in opposite direction. Okay, so that gas leaving the system, we will have the liquid will be collected at the bottom. So whatever gas is that is leaving the system will be rich in water vapor. If water is sprayed, whatever is a solute gas mixture, a liquid is solute, so that way there can be thing. Or if you say gas is introduced with a plus b, so the mass transfer between a plus b will be there. So we are going to have different concentrations of a and b in the gas leaving the system. So mass transfer can take place in either way. As I said, if it is humidification, so air will be sent. So when the air leaving this chamber will be rich in water vapor if you are spraying water, right? So that is an example for the venturi scrubber. Okay, and based on the stages, as I explained earlier, it can be a continuous contactor or it can be stage wise contactor. So example for continuous contactors are the spray towers or packed bed, or for stage wise contactors, bubble cap, valve tray and sieve tray. So these are the examples for stage contactors and continuous contactors. Okay, so what is so if you, when I say the stage wise, so obviously what is the role of any, what is a stage? When I say number of stages required, we are going to determine, sir, what is this stage? Determine the, we should able to determine the number of stages required for a desired operation. So what is the meaning of this stage? As I said, if it is a plate column, stage is at one portion in the equipment or one particular location in the equipment where there is a interaction between gas and liquid. Okay, so a gas stream will be going in this direction, liquid stream will be going in this direction if it is counter current operation. So obviously what we are doing, we are bringing in two phases, two immiscible phases are brought into intimate contact. They said well mixing is to be there, so they show that we provide better contact between this gas phase and liquid phase. And obviously one of the solute will be transferring from gas to liquid or liquid to gas, that is mass transfer is occurring through diffusion. So the diffusing of component, and they get distributed between the phases. Okay, whatever is the gas phase and liquid phase leaving, so the concentration of the, that is the concentration of solute in the gas entering and gas leaving, concentration of solute in the liquid entering and liquid leaving are going to be different at each stage. Okay, and obviously they will be allowed to separate mechanically by any other means. they will be allowed to separate. Gases will be going up, liquid will be collected at the bottom of the column. Okay. And obviously when you have a single stage operation or multi-stage operation, each stage will have an own efficiency, right? What is the meaning of efficiency? We are saying that one assumption made in this gas liquid, all these convective mass transfer, one thing we have assumed, right? We have seen theories of mass transfer. In all of the theories of mass transfer, at the interface, this whatever is the y star x, okay, let me say at the interface, this yi at the interface, xi at the interface, they are in equilibrium with each other. That's what all the theories have made as a basic assumption, right? So it is assumed that the component of a, or the, you can say, concentration of a in the gas stream leaving the system, and the concentration of a in the liquid leaving the system are in equilibrium. Okay, that is important assumption with respect to one. So that is theoretical, but practically is it so? So how close it is to actual value? There we define the what is the stage efficiency. Stage is one stage, okay, one plate. You can say stage, or you can say plate, if it is a plate column, right? So number of stages required or number of plates required. Okay. But if it is a multi-K one, we should have an overall stage efficiency if it is a multi-stage unit. Okay, for a multi-stage unit, we define what is overall stage efficiency. Okay, what is stage efficiency? Why we have to define this stage efficiency? The stage efficiency is defined in order to compare the performance of an actual stage with a theoretical stage, because theoretically we can say that this will be the concentration, but actually when you measure the concentration, we are able to measure the concentration of each plate. Obviously it is not going to match. Okay, it is going to be less than the theoretical one. So that way, if we say theoretically, when I say that theoretically I calculated I need 10 plates, let me say 25 plates or 25 stages are required for a given operation, but practically we may have to keep some 50% extra. Let me say if your efficiency is 50%, we will be keeping 50 number of plates so that the desired concentrations are achieved. Okay, that means the whatever is the final concentration we want to have. So why we have to do, if you consider absorption, when I say gas mixture, it is having a SO2 concentration of some 5 percentage. I want to get 2 percentage. So then what is the corresponding liquid? How much liquid has to be flow rate of the liquid? What should be the flow rate? Which will determine get me the concentration of SO2 from 5 percentage to 2 percentage. So to achieve this thing, let me say theoretically we calculate 25 number of stages are required. But if you measure the concentration of the gas solute in the gas leaving the stream, we may not get 2% if you exactly use 25. Okay, so they were due to various reasons. So that way, depending upon we define the efficiency as the ratio of this theoretical number of plates by actual number of plates, we get what is the efficiency. So if we say 50% efficiency, we may have to use actual plates required will be 25 divided by 0.5, which is 50. So that way we define overall stage efficiency for a multi-stage units. Okay. So the stage efficiency is measuring the fractional approach to equilibrium that is achieved in an actual stage. As I said, whether equilibrium is achieved or not, we are determining that one. Okay. So another efficiency that we define is murphree plate efficiency or murphree stage efficiency, which is the ratio of the actual concentrations change affected in one phase to the concentration change attainable if that phase leaves in equilibrium with the actual concentration of the other stream. Okay, how we define the overall mass transfer coefficient, if you recall that, we will able to define here also. Okay. For example, how to determine this murphree plate efficiencies? We have a gas stream entering a, we are talking about gas liquid operators, right? Gas liquid system, or you can say gas liquid contactors. So we have a gas entering with the initial concentration of y naught of a. Okay, so component a, and it obviously we will have g, and it will have a concentration change y1. Similarly, we will have liquid L. என்னம்மா? சொல்லுமா. ஓகே பை. Well, so if we have liquid flow rate, we will have a concentration of, in liquid we will use mole fraction x, right? So it is going to be x naught. Leaving stream is L, it is x1. Usually we should write g naught and g1, but we can say the concentration is so low, so we generally write they are approximately equal. Okay, L naught L1 equal to L. Okay, so that way we have not written L naught or L1 here. Okay, so now how we define this one is murphree plate efficiency is defined is we have seen we have a composition. What you can do, we can plot x1 y1, we can plot x naught y naught, right? And we have equilibrium curve y equal to mx, y star equal to mx, slope is m, right? The slope is m. Okay, so if you are able to plot these 2 points, what is x naught y naught? Obviously x naught is going to be very less and y naught is going to be greater than y1, right? So let me say this is my point x naught comma y naught, just value any value. Okay, and similarly I have x1 y1. Okay, so obviously this is my operating line, not for any operation in general we are talking about. This is for co-current operation, we are consider same direction. Okay, so we will have plot like this. So what we are talking about is, so y1 is there, right? So what this is the y1 value, what would be its corresponding value in x-axis? That would be in equilibrium composition, so that we get x star value, right? x1 star, let me say x1 star. Similarly for y1, we are going to have a value corresponding to y-axis, which is y1 star. So we get y1 star and x1 star, similar to what we have done in overall mass transfer coefficient, right? So the value corresponding that, what would be the concentration corresponding to these things. So it's an imaginary values. Okay, so that way the y1 would be in, what would be its corresponding equilibrium value, that is x1 star. What would be the x1's corresponding value, that is y1 star. Okay, so with this x1 y1 x naught y naught y1 star x1, sorry, it should be x1 star and y1 star, you should able to define what is murphree plate efficiency. A for efficiency, M for murphree. Okay, so usually we put this symbol, right? If murphree plate efficiency, it can be written for both gas phase and liquid phase. So if I write G, it is murphree plate efficiency for gas phase. If I write EML, it is murphree plate efficiency for liquid phase. Okay, so what is that? If I write murphree plate efficiency for gas phase is equal to y naught minus y1 by y naught minus, what is its corresponding value? Y1 star. Similarly, EM for liquid phase is equal to, same way, x1 minus x naught by x1 star minus x naught. So what is this x naught y naught? Recall the diagram. So we have y naught y1. For co-current operation, we are defining this in this fashion, right? X naught x1. So liquid, this is gas. Okay, so that's why murphree plate efficiency is defined. So how to write what is this x1 star? X1 star is the composition of the fictitious liquid phase that would leave the stage on equilibrium. X1 star is the composition of fictitious liquid phase that would leave the stage in equilibrium. Okay. Actually, what is leaving is x1, but what x1 star would be the imaginary composition, that would be the equilibrium along corresponding to y1 value. Okay, that is the equilibrium value corresponding to y1 value. This y1 value is actual value, whereas x1 star is an imaginary value. Similarly, what is y1 star? Is the composition of fictitious gas phase that would leave the stage in equilibrium. So essentially, if we consider a stage, what we are leaving stream is actually it is y1. What is actually leaving is x1. But we are considering corresponding to this x1, what would be the y1 star, and corresponding this y1 star, y1, what would be the x1 star. Okay, so using this we define this, using this fictitious, this is real, this is actual value, whereas these are fictitious values corresponding to this y1 star is corresponding to x1. So this will be confusing in textbooks. Okay, so we should be able to distinguish between what is y1 x1 and what is y1 star x1 star, and how this Murphree plate efficiency is defined. Okay, so I repeat, what is x1 star? It is the composition of the fictitious liquid phase that would leave the stage in equilibrium with average composition of gas phase actually leaving the stage. Okay, so that way this Murphree plate efficiency, what is stage efficiency, have to be defined. Okay, so this is common whatever type of plate column we are going to make use of. Okay, that's why I defined all these terms ahead of the theory part. Okay, if you look at the most common equipment that is available for us, one is tray column. What is tray column? We have different plates. So actually this is going to be a long column. See, remember this type of, it will be have some 10 meters height. Okay, so long towers, essentially cylindrical in shape. Okay, so cylindrical columns in which we have different plates placed with at least minimum 2 feet, 60 centimeters or 30 centimeters gap. So that because when it is small level, we want hand hold to do the repairing, right? The packing material are there, cleaning has to be done. We will use manholes in it. But if it is of, say for example, 1 meter diameter, obviously the gap between them is going to be half meter. So there will be manholes. A man has to enter into the column and then do the cleaning works or repairing work or maintenance work, whichever is required, right? So obviously there will be a series of metal plates or trays or columns or stages we will have, and where the gas and liquid are coming in contact with each other, and mass transfer will be taking place once we provide the good mixing and contact time, sufficient contact time. Okay, and then we have another type, most commonly used one is packed column. Again, it is also a vertical cylindrical vessel which contains a packing material packed in internal sections between two sections 1 and 2, and under a particular pressure will allow the gas and liquid to come in contact with each other, and this mass transfer will be taking place. Okay, particularly in case of packed column, what is there, liquid is trickling down. Okay, so the liquid film will be formed on the packing material and gas will be bubbling through the packing elements. Whereas in case of plate column, liquid will be hold up on the each tray, and gas will be introduced in the form of bubbles. So the bubble, how much time a bubble takes from the bottom of the liquid to top of the liquid, that is the contact time. Once it reaches the top, it gets into the upper open space, it gets vaporized and go to the next bubble, and through which it will get into the next plate. So that way it will be moving. Okay, so these two are the most commonly used packed means gas liquid contactors. Okay, so obviously a tray has three functional zones. One is active area for mixing the vapor and liquid. As I said, the objective of any gas liquid contactor is to provide proper mixing so that gas and liquid will come in contact with each other. Okay, so this zone is where mass transfer is taking place, and above this one we will have a vapor space above the active area, this zone in which the liquid is separated from the vapor. So the separation of the liquid from vapor takes place in the vapor space above the active area, and then there will be a downcomer between the trays which will facilitate whatever the separated liquid from the gas will be moving down to the next tray. Okay, so that way in the downcomer between the trays we will have the movement of liquid from one contacting tray to another, and second one disengaging. So obviously, so what will happen is we will have a trace, number of trays. Okay, and we will be holding up the liquid in it, so there will be overflow of the liquid. Okay, so whatever is overflowing that will come to here, and from here it will be overflowing and it will come reach here. So through the holes the gases will be entering from bottom plate to upper plate. So that way, so there will be openings in the plate through which the gas will be entering, and this liquid will be using the downcomer. You will have the downcomer, the overflow of liquid from upper plate to lower plate will be taking place. Okay, so we have effectively three zones. That is, one you have active area where the liquid is, so this is the active area in the each tray. Below the downcomer you will have up to downcomer, whatever liquid is present in that bubble will go through it. So we have mass transfer actively taking place in it, and we have a opening space, right? So that is the space between each plate, so where the liquid will be separated out, and this liquid will be overflowing from here to down plate. Okay, upper plate to lower plate. Okay, through the downcomer. So essentially, trays are a series of plates arranged vertically up the column. The liquid will be flowing along the each plate over a weir. I hope we have learned the weirs and notches in fluid mechanics. Okay, what is the role it's doing there? Same role it is doing. With gravity, there will be overflow of liquid from upper plate to lower plate. Okay, the height of the weir determines the quantity of the liquid which can be held up. As I said, the height of the weir means that much will be the height of the liquid held on the each tray. And downcomer's role is facilitating the liquid to fall from the upper plate to lower plate. Okay. And what is happening? The vapor flows upwards through the perforations in the plate. I have explained you all this. Okay. So the distance between the each tray is important. Yeah, that determines what how much is the gas that can be going, right? So if the spacing is too low, there is a risk of liquid becoming entrained with the vapor. So that way this there should be sufficient gap between the things. So but it cannot be, it is like a trade-off. If it is too high, the spacing is too high, the column height will be increasing. So the total height of the column, we want 10 plates. When you fix 10 plates with this gap, and if you keep the same 10 plates with a higher gap, obviously the height of the tower is going to increase. So obviously the container, this is actually made up of stainless steel means, so the capital cost will increase, right? So the total height of the column will change depending upon the gap that we so usually depending upon the diameter, if the diameter is more, we will have a particular gap between them. Minimum, as I said, 2 feet. Say for example 60 centimeters is the approximate spacing is required, so that in between we can have a manhole, a person can enter and do the required repairings. Okay, So what is happening in case of this, what type of interaction is taking place between gas and liquid? It can be either counter current type. Okay, so we have a certain type where counter current operation is taking place. Whenever we talk about this downcomer system, now where with the system with the downcomers, so there will be liquid is flowing in this direction and then coming down. So obviously cross current is taking place. Actually for gases it is only one direction, but whereas the liquid it is coming this fashion, right? So it is coming down and moving this direction, and again it goes to this direction, right? So that way it can be cross current column will be taking place, used. Cross current columns can be used. So obviously what is happening, there is exchange of solute A from the gas phase to liquid phase, or from liquid phase to gas phase. Okay, so this type of columns are widely used for distillation operations, absorption operations. Okay, so this is the downcomer which I wanted to show you. So this is the downcomer which is facilitating the gas to not go down, only the liquid will be falling down, right? So gas should not escape through this way to upper plate. That's why, that is the reason why this downcomer is kept, is designed in this one. So if you look at the top view, downcomer is again it is a continuous one. If you say cylindrical shaped plate with several holes, right? There will be perforations as you can see here, and off is like orifice plate, how orifice is designed, similar to that. So if you cut this portion and you have the design attached to it like this, so that makes the top view for this one. Okay, so therefore from the upper plate liquid will be falling down and it will be moving in this direction, and again it through this plate it will be falling down. So that way these are cross current column which are generally used, more generally used than the counterflow column. Okay, so there are sometimes more than one downcomer is used in this one. Okay, there can be multiple downcomers. For example, here. Okay, so there can be upper plate with a gap at the center. So that means the from the upper plate it will come down from here and it will go in here, and from this this plate it will go in both directions to outer plate. So that also a double pass type is there. Okay, so it is from the upper plate a single. So this is upper plate mean one, the liquid is falling down at the center. So whatever is falling down will get dispersed to the left hand side and right hand side, and they will escape. It is similar to staircases. You have a floor and there are staircases going in this direction and this direction, and there is a common meeting point again in next floor you have separation, right? So that double pass is also sometimes used. So it all going to depending upon the capital cost we can facilitate, right? So obviously the cost is going to be different from a simple design, simple downcomer, right? This is what actually we have different zones which we explained earlier also. So the liquid will be going in this fashion. Okay, so from upper plate to lower plate, this blue color shows the liquid is falling from upper plate to lower plate. So here we are having this one. So what will happen sometimes is, if system, if the gas or liquid, no, if it is having a tendency say for soapy nature, if it is soapy in nature or if it is forming froths, okay, if it is forming bubbles just like detergents kind of thing, so what will happen if more bubble is formed, what will happen, what is the purpose of this vapor space? So vapor space will get affected. Okay, vapor space is important for the gas to escape. Say for example this is the plate and this is the plate up to which we have liquid, right? So whatever bubble, gas bubble that has come from bottom plate, it has to go here and it has to escape through the gas, and again it has to go here, right? But what will happen if you have this much space is occupied with the froth? Obviously the gas don't have space for escaping, so that way the gas is not passing effectively across the system. So for such system we don't prefer this plate column. For such froth forming systems we prefer packed columns. Okay, so that we should know the difference. So if you look at the plate column itself, there are different type of plate column. So first one is sieve plate or perforated trays. As I said, it is nothing but in this plate you have simply holes. Okay, so we'll have simple holes across the one, similar to your heat transfer you are studying, no? In heat transfer, in heat exchanger, tube sheet you will study. What is tube sheet? At the which is used to connect the different parallel pipes, right? So that if you look at the cross section, so this can be a triangular pitch. We define that pitch. It can be triangular pitch or rectangular pitch, right? So same way, same thing, holes, a tube, a sheet with holes. Okay. What is simply orifice meter in fluid mechanics? Again, it is a cylindrical plate, sorry, round shaped plate with a hole at the center. Single perforation, it is orifice. When you have a triangular pitch or rectangular pitch which is connected at the end, it is called tube sheet in heat transfer. Here it is trace. Here we are using the same for the purpose of trace. Okay, used as trace. So sieve tray or perforated tray, they are very simple in construction. We also studied in orifice meter, no? Orifice is very simple to design rather than a venturi meter, where you should talk about what is converging section, throttle, and then divergent section, why divergent section is longer than the convergent section. All this needs to be done. So it is a highly sophisticated equipment. So this is used for lab scale or small diameter. Whereas if you could talk about the pipeline, ONGC pipelines or water pipelines, we use orifice plate. For large diameter things, venturi meter will be costly, we use orifice plates. Okay, similarly in heat exchanger, these pitches are done so that either triangular pitch or rectangular pitch are used, so that you can easily clean them, right? You should able to clean the outer surface, because scale formation will be there. You should able to clean them. Okay, so again coming back to this, we have sieves or perforated plates. It is which is small trays. It's nothing but a sheets with small holes in the tray. And as I said, at the end it can have a opening. It can be have an open space, and a down comer is attached to it. The down comer can be either a single or double pass one. Okay, so obviously it is a simple design. So obviously the pressure drop across these units will be very less, and it is going to be cheaper than the other models. And you have uh, but the amount of interaction, how much less vapor liquid contact can be brought, is going to be less in case of this type. Okay, sieve plate columns or perforated columns. Okay, so the general form of the flow of a sieve tray is typically a cross flow system. Obviously all we prefer cross flow system. Okay, and with this sieve plate, the vapor velocity through the perforation, because we have to, it is again, we are having a liquid and then gas, right? We have to give a higher rate of gas such that liquid does not get into these holes, right? So liquid should only pass through this, and through the downcomer it should go. But if gas flow rate, gas should be continuously escaping through these holes, and it should resist the liquid going through the holes. So we have to maintain a high vapor velocity. Okay, so when you maintain the high vapor velocity, there is another problem with it. When you have very high velocity of gas stream, and there will be entrainment, that is the gas will take away the liquid material along with it. So that entrainment is an issue we face when you use excessive vapor velocity. So both in, depending upon the gas velocity, we face two problems. Okay, when the velocity is less, we face weeping. Weeping takes place. Weeping is like this. I will explain you with the figure also. So that this liquid will flow through the holes rather than the downcomer, that is weeping. And when the gas velocity is very high, what happens is we have the gas escaping the top of the column, carrying out the liquid along with it. Okay, so that is called entrainment. So we have two problems associated with gas velocity. If it is less, we have weeping. If it is high, we have liquid entrainment when we are using these sieve plate columns. Okay, so to overcome this weeping, we have a better design. So for that, we go for a bubble cap column. So this is the most widely used tray because of its range of operations, but it is nowadays unable to compete with the third type, which offers more flexible operations. Okay, so that is called valve trays. We will discuss that later. So if you look at the individual caps are mounted, it's like a pressure cooker, no? So what we have at our home, we have a pressure cooker, and we put a heavy weight over it, right? So when once we start cooking, what happens? So the pressure is get built up, Okay, so when we hear the whistle sound, when the pressure is too high, it tries to, the vapor will try to escape through this one by moving this weight up. So that time we hear the noise of whistle. Okay, we hear the whistle sound when the pressure is high, right? So that way, with when the gas, same way we have design in the in the plates, we will have bubble caps. Okay, so we cover the, say for example, in a single plate there may be 100 holes. For each hole there will be a bubble cap. Okay, so that bubble, what will happen when the velocity, when the gas is moving with high velocity, it will push this bubble cap up and then escape through and form the bubble. In the form of bubble, it will escape through the liquid one. Okay, so that is bubble cap column. Okay, so that way, that is additional. Obviously the cost is going to be more costlier than the simple sieve plate column, right? And what will be the happen to the pressure drop when you add something additionally, because it has to push the weight and then move into the liquid, so obviously pressure drop will be more. Okay, so the pressure drop will be high. So we have seen now pressure drop across unit length of the bed. So the pressure drop per unit length is going to be more for a bubble cap column. Okay, so these bubble cap trays are capable of dealing with very low liquid flow rate, because when the liquid flow rate is low, we still you can make use of this system. Okay, so that way when you have low reflux ratio, these bubble cap columns are used. When you say low reflux ratio, it is for distillation. Actually, in distillation, we have seen the top product will be returned back, a portion will be collected as, then V will be refluxed, okay, and get back to the system, right? So when less reflux, that means the liquid flow rate is going to be less, right? For that system also, we can make use of this bubble cap column, okay. And then we have another type of column called valve trace. So this may be regarded as a cross. It is a combination. We have clearly simply hole, and we have another place we have bubble cap. Okay, so this valve tray is a combination of these two, so that we get a lesser pressure drop than this, right? And we avoid the weeping problem associated with the sieve plates, and we avoid the pressure drop associated with the bubble cap column. So that is a combination of these two, and the design is going to be little lesser, simpler than the bubble cap, so that way the cost will be low than the bubble cap column, and it has a more flexibility. And because of this flexibility and low price, these valve trends are tending to replace all the bubble cap column. Nowadays people prefer to use valve trays. Okay, it operates at the same capacity and efficiency as the sieve trays. When we say this capacity and efficiency, the pressure drop per unit length also going to be low. So, and it has high turndown ratio. What is high turndown ratio? So it can operate at a small fraction of design capacities. Okay, so design capacity, for example, it can operate with the gas flow rate of 100 to 10. So it can operate in wide range. If that means 10, say 100 liter, let me say 100 kg per hour, it can be operated at 10 kg per hour. It's also, that means that ratio is high. Even with 10 percentage of its capacity, we can able to operate it more efficiently. Okay, so this is what we are talking about, the downcomers. So liquid cross current, what is happening here? We are having cross current flow taking place, right? So liquid will be falling from the top upper plate to down plate. It is overflowing. Okay, and what is that? Through this bubble cap, bubbles, through this one, the vapor will be pushing this up, and through this hole we have this bubble getting into the liquid. That is the contact time we have. So at the interface, mass transfer is taking place. Okay, so in this valve type, so here it is vapor bubble cap. So this I have explained insufficiently. So these are some of the images which will give you a better picture of what is a bubble cap, how the design is done. Okay, downcomer holes are there, you can see. So in this downcomers is not completely a opening, right? Only a small hole is there from to the downcomer, which facilitates this type of downcomer, helps us gas does not escape through this. Okay, gas will not escape through this one. So this is a better design. when I talk about these downcomers. So this is one type of downcomer where there is a possibility this gas can go this way, right? So to avoid that, so this will purely does not allow the gas to come across this one. Okay. So this is how, this is the high performance liquid distributors aimed towards ideal liquid distribution. So equal liquid rate per unit area of the packed bed surface. So again, this is another photograph. So this is an example for downcomer pipes. Okay, so this wear, we call it as wear. Depending upon if this is too high, we are going to have high more amount of liquid hold up. So the liquid level in each day depends upon the height of the downcomers. Okay, so we have plate contactors which has sieve plate, bubble cap and valve plates. So valve plates is different from bubble cap, that it is having a floating cap plates. Okay, I'll show you the photos. So this is one. So we will have some floating type. So with a small pressure, it will push it little up, and then through which the liquid will be, gas will be entered. So this is a demonstration video for a sieve plate column. So this is a sieve tray. So we have liquid flowing down, and in cross current fashion liquid is going down, and white color you could able to see, this is the vapor phase. So interaction between gas and liquid takes place. Yeah, when the gas velocity is very less, what happens is weeping takes place. What is weeping? It's like crying. When we cry from our eyes, the liquid will be falling, right? So that way, in this also we have seen weeping taking place when the gas velocity is less or when the liquid velocity is very high. So either case, weeping will take place. And if you look at the wall loop trace, you can see this type of setup. So we have the design like this. So we have design here. So this weeping of the column is minimized when we are using the valve plates, where the perforations are fitted with the valve, so that the liquid will not go, does not have the facility to get into this, right? So because here through this gas is coming out, so the liquid will not able to move into this one. So that is the design change done with the valve plates. Okay, so it's like when you have veranda in your house, center of the house, when it is open, it is like open auditorium. What will happen if it rains? You cannot able to play. So what we can do? We can have a tent over it. When you close it, what happens? So the rainwater will not come into this, right? So we are able to continue with the program. So same way, this valve is having that side of setup. Okay. So this is like valve which will move up and down depending upon the pressure exerted by the gas on this valve. Okay, so this will move up and down. We will show you a demo video later. So this valve trace is similar to bubble cap, but it is simplified design, just a tent over a playground type, but with the movable legs. So we have in valve plates, we have, it consists of a cap which covers the perforation and having legs to limit the vertical rise of the cap. So these legs will limit the vertical rise of the cap. Okay, so this is one thing. Okay, and these valve openings depend upon the gas flow rate, pressure, and tend to close when the gas flow becomes lower. So this is like push pull type. So when the pressure is more, this will move up or it will go down. Okay, so this is simple than the bubble cap. Okay, where it is more costlier thing, bubble cap has to be made. Okay, so it means it has less less parts than the bubble cap. Okay, so if you look at the demonstration video for this one, valve plates. So you have liquid coming in this cross current direction. So we have, this is a valve. So depending upon the pressure, this valve, this is like push pull, right? So it will go up when the velocity is high. If it is velocity is less, it will go down. So it depends entirely on the gas velocity, right? So the another one we will see the demonstration for a bubble cap video. So you can see the bubble cap, we are having so many number of caps. Again, liquid will be going in cross current, vapor will be going in upward direction. So this is what a typical cap will have. So you have a cap and a riser. So this cap will move up and down similar to our pressure cooker cylinders arrangement.
And the cap, where it does not enhance the mass transfer. The labor cost of assembling the riser cap units makes these trays more expensive. The weight of these units also leads to support problems on large towers. Consequently, most new applications today are in services where a large amount of vapor must contact a relatively small amount of liquid.
So basically the function of a tray plate is to facilitate mass transfer to take place. So they are bringing in vapor liquid contact. More the vapor liquid contact, more would be the mass transfer. So this is practically achieved when the liquid is held on a perforated tray and vapors pass through this liquid layer from below the liquid depth through the perforations. And it should be noted that flow rate should be adjusted such that liquid may not come down from the tray above the perforated through perforations. Okay, if this happens, we are going to have weeping condition.
Weeping. If the vapor velocity is low, it is possible for liquid to flow down through the tray holes before mixing the vapor.
Weeping. So this
Weeping has been an important.
So weeping is like crying. You can see that what liquid is flowing through the perforations. So this operation is called weeping. So how to avoid it? We should increase the gas velocity. Okay. Other way is go for an alternative design. Okay. So we have to always maintain a minimum gas flow rate to avoid the weeping. Okay. So that's why in bubble cap columns we have better protection for weeping. Okay, and if you look at the entrainment, as I said, when the vapor velocity is too high, it may carry away the liquid along with it. So I have a video for that one, so this will help you to understand. So when the same columns, when the gas velocity is very high, you can say that it is pushing the liquid along with it to the next level. So thereby there is no separation of liquid and gas taking place. So when the vapor is carrying the liquid up to the next tray, it is like same liquid is being repeated. You see, this is the exaggerated one, but you can see the same liquid is recirculated within the two plates. So this is known as entrainment. Carry away of liquid by the gases to the bottom, from the bottom plate to the upper plate, and a circulation of the same liquid takes place in between the two plates. So this is called entrainment. Okay. So what is, we use the term turndown ratio. What is this? The ratio between the minimum vapor load to the maximum vapor load. As I said, maximum gas velocity, minimum gas velocity. This ratio is turndown ratio. It is providing us the range in which we can operate the system. Okay. So in general, if the turndown ratio is low, it means that it is less flexible in the operations. It cannot handle the wide range of vapor flow rate. Okay. So when the turndown ratio is high, we can operate it from various range of flow rates. Okay. So if you want to compare these three type of trays, for example, sieve trays, valve trays, and bubble caps, we can compare them in terms of cost, we can compare them in terms of pressure drop. Obviously we have seen in sieve plates there will be less pressure drop. In bubble cap highest pressure drop will be there. Cost wise bubble cap is almost double than the sieve trays. Valve trays is some 20% more than the sieve trays. If you look at the efficiency, obviously bubble cap will have the highest efficiency, and the vapor capacity is lowest in bubble cap. Because the bubble cap is involved, we cannot have very high vapor flow rates. Okay, whereas in case of sieve trays we will have the highest sieve trays. And with respect to turn down ratio, bubble cap column can be operated for a wide range of operations. Well, in this model, first lecture of the model 3, we have discussed about what is gas solubility, what is Henry's law, what is stage efficiency, what is murphree plate efficiency, right? And we have seen what is packed tower, what is plate tower, and we have seen what are the different type of plate columns like bubble plate, bubble curve columns, okay, sieve tray columns, valve tray columns, all that, right? Okay, in the next lecture we will discuss about packed columns, where we talk about what are the different type of packing materials available, what are the desired characteristics of packing materials, what is random packing, what is stacked packing, okay, what is distributor, redistributors, what are the accessories that are required for either plate column or packed column, what are the different type of material, and we should be able to compare the packed column versus tray column. Okay, and what for a given duty, how to choose packed column or plate column, what are the governing parameters we should consider when we want to design this packed column or plate column, whether to go for packed random packing or stacked packing. All that will be discussed in the next lecture. Okay, also we will discuss about NTU and HTU, that is number of transfer units and height of transfer units derivations in the future lectures. So thank you for joining my classroom. We will continue in the next lecture. Bye bye.